Imagine opening your eyes for the very first time and realizing the room, the scent, the shadows on the wall already feel worn in, as if your memory arrived before your body did. That feeling, too big to be called déjà vu, too precise to be coincidence, is the quiet drumbeat of a very old soul. Today we are going to trace that drumbeat, follow it down hidden hallways, and touch the places where ordinary memory cannot go. By the end of this journey, you may understand why certain fears cling to you like burrs, why strangers sometimes feel like family, and why a single piece of music can split your heart with homesickness for a city you have never walked. I am your guide from Noetica, where we weave lost wisdom with laboratory evidence, and this is an exploration of reincarnation, not as folklore but as experience echoing through every nerve. Reincarnation is less about starting over and more about continuing a sentence that never truly ends. Each lifetime a comma, never a period. When you sense those commas, when parts of your personality carry dust from unremembered roads, you are already living proof of cyclical time. Yet proof is tricky. Science chases controlled variables. The soul leaves fingerprints in paradoxes. So we will use stories, patterns, and 5 quick signs you can cross-check against your own life, tallying yes or no as we go. This is not a game and not a verdict. It is a mirror angled just so, catching reflections you might otherwise dismiss as glare. Before we begin the signs, breathe once and promise yourself candor. Old souls often underplay their oldest memories because they do not wish to seem strange. But strangeness is merely the language of the deep self. It speaks in symbols, sensations, and those elusive shivers that ripple along the spine when truth walks by. Listen to that language and the test reveals far more than age. It reveals purpose tucked between ribs. Sign number 1 is the high-definition déjà vu, an experience so lifelike it hijacks your senses. Ordinary déjà vu is a flicker, a trick of neural delay. The old soul variant is cinematic. You enter a street in a foreign country and can predict exactly which doorframe is chipped, which vendor is about to cough, and which church bell will toll 5 breaths later. Scholars of memory call this impossible accuracy cryptomnesia, or concealed recall, yet no childhood holiday explains why your heart races like it recognizes the cobblestones underfoot. Functional MRI scans show a spike in both parahippocampal and emotional centers during such episodes, suggesting that whatever fires is older than episodic memory, older than language. Think back. Have you walked someplace entirely new and felt you were standing on a stage, sketch mapped by your own nerves? If yes, mark the first notch on your list. A single vivid déjà vu might be chance, but a pattern of them across continents points to footprints you laid long before this passport. Sign number 2 is the instant soul bond. You meet someone and conversation feels like finishing sentences you began centuries earlier. You are not projecting desire. The connection bypasses surface charm and dives straight into marrow. Mirror-neuron research in contemporary psychology shows why we synchronize micro-expressions with friends, but old soul bonding goes beyond mimicry. You know details about the stranger's pain before you hear the story. You dream their face before exchanging phone numbers. Sometimes the bond is loving. Sometimes it is a flare of distrust so intense it borders on primal warning. Both poles suggest ancient choreography. A University of Virginia study on children who recalled past identities found that 90% of reported recognition moments involved emotions first, facts later. The heart knows the dance steps long before the mind reads the program. Ask yourself, have you ever locked eyes with a stranger and felt a flood of memory none of your current years can explain? If so, another tally. Now we approach sign number 3, the timeless talent. Skills that surface uncoached. The child who sits at a piano and pours out nocturnes. The teenager who picks up a language after hearing it 3 afternoons. The adult who touches clay and shapes a Grecian urn without flicking through a tutorial. Genetic predisposition can account for some precocity, but occasionally the speed is too improbable, the nuance too exact, as if muscle fibers remember what the cortex forgot. Neuroscientists speak of myelination and innate circuitry, yet their data sets admit anomalies. An Israeli case study clocked a 6-year-old refugee painting Renaissance-level chiaroscuro after glimpsing a single Caravaggio slide in class. No training, no family history of art, only an inexplicable precision. Old souls carry muscle memory across temporal borders. The hand understands a brushstroke because the consciousness guiding it practiced through winters lit by oil lamps. Search your timeline for a skill that felt like remembering rather than learning. If such an echo rings true, you are 3 signs deep into an ancient ledger. Sign number 4 is the phantom fear, a terror that clings to you without a single incident in your biography to anchor it. Perhaps you break into a sweat near deep water, though you have never nearly drowned, or your pulse skitters at the sight of a harmless candle flame, as if some part of you remembers smoke in the lungs. Psychologists label these responses non-associative phobias, yet the etiology file often sits empty. In a Cambridge survey of more than 5,000 adults, the strongest irrational fears clustered around heights, dark forests, confinement, and large bodies of water, landscapes that echo humanity's oldest dangers. Old souls report these phobias at nearly double the rate of the general population. Researchers hypothesize that unprocessed trauma may ride the epigenetic train across lifetimes, tagging stress receptors that spring like tripwires even when no present danger exists. So search your nerves. Do you harbor a fear that defies personal history, erupting with the force of remembered catastrophe? If your answer is yes, score another tally. Sign number 5 is old soul fatigue, the marrow-deep sense that you have watched civilizations bloom and crumble too many times to count, and the novelty of modern life often feels like reruns with better lighting. Psychiatrist Ian Stevenson documented dozens of such cases, toddlers who refused to play war games because, in their words, they had already died that way, teenagers who yearned for monasteries they had never seen, elders who spoke of time not as an arrow, but as a wheel. Science frames the sensation as existential depression, yet old souls understand it as weariness from countless mile markers. Ask yourself bluntly, do you wake some mornings with a sadness that feels older than your skin, a sigh that seems to rise from centuries? If yes, add the final notch. Pause now and total your score out of 5. 1 or 0 indicates a young or mid-journey soul gathering first cycles. 2 or 3 suggests you have crossed the century mark, a traveler with many stamps on the passport of existence. 4 or the full 5 pushes you into the realm of the 300-plus club, the veteran spirits whose memories are written in bone resonance and dream ink. Yet a number is only a headline. The article lies in interpretation. How should an old soul proceed? The first step is ownership. Suppressing ancient echoes only crams them into shadow, where they ferment into anxiety or restless longing. Instead, treat each sign as an open tab waiting to be closed. Déjà vu invites conscious exploration. Revisit the city, map the route, sketch the building that tugged at your ribs. Instant soul bonds beg dialogue beyond small talk. Ask the stranger what you taught each other before. You may both feel the answer without words. Timeless talents request cultivation. Your hands remember for a reason. Phantom fears need ritual closure. Water phobia meets gentle float therapy. Candle fright meets safe fire gazing. Old soul fatigue calls for purpose crafting. If life feels like repeats, change the script by mentoring younger souls, guiding circles, composing art that archives the wisdom you remember. Neuroscience offers tools too. Functional imaging shows that mindfulness training shrinks the default mode network, reducing rumination that often magnifies phantom fears. Heart rate variability practices extend vagal tone, calming the limbic flare of unexplained distress. Even epigenetic marks respond to focused breath and HRV coherence, hinting that karmic signatures might rewrite under conscious regulation. Modern science is still a toddler in this playground, but its crayons outline possibilities. For those who scored high, nightly integration exercises help. Before sleep, write one sentence that begins, "Tonight I welcome only the memories that heal." The subconscious listens. Keep a notebook by the bed. Record flashes on waking. A different alphabet of recall may trickle through dream logic. Many veterans report mosaic images: a brass compass, a child's chant in an unknown tongue, a glimpse of battlefield sky the color of bruised copper. Over weeks, the mosaic sometimes snaps into full-color memory. If your score was low, do not envy the centuries. Young souls possess agility, fewer karmic knots, cleaner palettes for new joy. Each age on the wheel carries gifts and burdens. The point is not seniority, but honesty. Know your place on the spiral so you can walk it with eyes open. Let us ground the discussion in data. In 2018, a German sleep laboratory recruited subjects with recurrent high-fidelity déjà vu and scanned their brains during directed imagination tasks. Old soul score candidates showed unusually strong coupling between the parietal lobe, spatial memory, and limbic structures, emotion, firing together even when stimuli were neutral. The scientists theorized a mnemonic bleed-through phenomenon. Translation: some part of the brain treats past life landscape files as currently relevant maps. That bleed-through, curated rather than feared, can become guidance. Lost? Ask the cartographer inside. Another study, led by Dr. Jim Tucker at the University of Virginia, collected over 2,000 child cases of spontaneous past life recall. Cross-checked data, the names remembered, the deaths recounted, mapped onto actual historical individuals more often than coincidence allows. No conclusive mechanism yet, but pattern recognition across continents suggests memory storage in a field wider than one skull. As we adopt quantum models of consciousness, the notion that identity rides electromagnetic substrates beyond death gains mathematical foothold. Now, practical steps no matter your tally. First, curate your inputs. Old souls often drown in news cycle noise. It triggers fatigue and phantom grief. Limit doom scroll windows to designated minutes. Second, activate your talents. Neglected gifts become stagnant pools attracting mosquito thoughts. Third, ritualize rest. Veteran spirits need longer integration phases. Meditative walks, water immersion, time in forests that remember epochs. Finally, community. Isolated old souls spiral into cynicism. Circles of shared recall transform weariness into laughter at cosmic irony. As promised, let us close with a small experiment. Sit comfortably, eyes half-lidded. Imagine a spiral stair descending into water still as glass. At the top step, speak aloud. Show me the memory that serves. Wait, a color, a sound, or a single image may surface. Do not chase it. Note it. Over the next week, revisit the stair. Same phrase, record what appears. Patterns will weave. Share them below using the tag Old Soul test so we can map communal threads. A brief word on safety. Memories surfacing fast can shake waking identity. If dizziness, nightmares, or dissociation bite, ground immediately. Touch wooden furniture. Name 5 textures in the room. Drink salted water. Seek professional counsel if needed. Spirituality adds layers but never negates mental health protocols. Before we part, remember the mathematics of the spiral. Life is not a straight climb to heaven nor a cage wheel. It is a widening gyre. Each loop revisits themes from a higher vista. An old soul knows the view may repeat, but the insight deepens. Use your age to lift the collective, not to lord experience. Humility plus wisdom equals alchemy. Pride minus empathy equals entropy.